So let's get fucking into it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Barroom Boys. Today it's just me and Had. Beeve is flying back to Florida today from Georgia, so he was unable to join. Gary's sick as hell. He was unable to hop on. Holmes was unable to. Lip was unable to. So it's Had and I today. It's the two OG boys kicking it for once. So it's been a little while, but I'm glad it's just us two of the founding members of the Barroom Boys. So
yeah, I would say the two founding members of the Barroom Boys.
Yeah, the two. So yeah, pretty cool. But Todd, how are we doing? It's been a little bit. I know you and I were both out sick last week, so we didn't have an episode. But how you feeling?
Yeah, last week I was sick as a dog. Some would say it's like always around this time, always around Thanksgiving, especially in the Northeast. I always like get a cold or something like that along those lines. And last week was just that week. I was basically coughing, sneezing, like so congested for like a week straight. Now I'm back to like 90%, still have a little like stuffy nose, but that's like just a given around this time when the temperature's like, I think today the high was like 34, so it's getting pretty cold up here. But otherwise doing well. How are you?
I kind of had the same thing as you, coughing, congestion, just sore throat, feeling like shit.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much back like you. I'm probably around 90%. I don't know what it is. It's been going around down here. I think I picked it up at a Gator watch party, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. We keep moving, we keep grinding. Just needed a little break last week because I literally just couldn't talk. So
Yeah, for
just
real.
needed to reset. And I texted that in. You're like, well, you're not gonna believe this, but I'm fucking sick too. I was like, you know what? We're canceling.
I was like, at that point, I was like barely talking. I was talking like I smoked like 3 packs a day because it was just like so congested and like so I was like had such a bad cold at that point. I was like, I can't do this today. And then you said it, I was like, oh, perfect.
You're like, thank God. I was like, dude, I feel I was like, I am just dying today.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was crazy. Obviously, Thanksgiving, like you're right, you get sick around this time of year. Literally every year. I feel like everyone does, but we had Thanksgiving on Thursday. This goes up on Wednesday. So this is kind of like our unofficial Thanksgiving episode. So if you're watching this, happy early Thanksgiving. Make sure you enjoy with your family, your friends, everyone around you, because it is a great holiday. There's a lot to be thankful for. And we here at Barroom Boys are thankful that you guys are watching. So enjoy yourselves from one podcast to their fan base. We love you guys. Enjoy it. Hi, you got any cool stories from Thanksgiving growing up?
Trying to think. I mean, I've done a couple different styles of Thanksgiving. I've done like when I was a kid and my grandparents used to live in Pennsylvania, we'd always go to their house and they had like a huge backyard because they were not on a farm, but like on a big piece of land that was kind of separated from like civilization. So we'd always run like playing football, two-hand touch, and then progress to tackle with my cousins. So that was always fun. But then when they retired and moved to Florida, we'd always do there for Thanksgiving. Worked out nicely because I could just drive from Gainesville to like North Tampa. It would be like 2 hours, and then I could just go back for the FSU game. So that was always nice. And now I'm going to my cousins in Connecticut this year, where, believe it or not, we're not having turkey.
What you having?
So we're doing chicken because my cousins that are hosting do not like turkey.
Hey, I respect the hell out of that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a sin though. Like you have to have turkey on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing it so early. I think we're going there at like 1 o'clock. So we'll probably be leaving at like 4:25 ish. So we'll probably just do like I think my dad's gonna cook like a turkey or something like that for like dinner or something like that. So
Yeah, I mean, you'll catch the bulk of the slate, but I don't know.
yeah,
It's always weird, man, but it's good timing typically. You know, you're starting with that first football game for some reason everyone eats in between like 2 and 3
Oh yeah,
on
right around
Thanksgiving,
halftime.
like
Like,
right in the middle. You get done eating and it's like mid third quarter. It's usually a bad game you start with.
yeah.
So you're able to sleep through, you wake up, you're at the next game. Like it's just like the most repetitive thing ever.
Oh yeah, it's either you after Thanksgiving. I feel like there's only like two options now that we're, I guess, above the age of 21. It's either
Mhm.
you keep drinking until you like pass out at like 8 o'clock because
Yeah.
you're tired and also drunk, or you take like a huge power nap, wake up at like 5, eat a little bit more, and then just watch football and then start drinking again.
Yeah,
So,
well, the key is to go out that Wednesday so you get your demons out
oh
and then
yeah,
you hang out with family the next day. Like that's like the adult trick.
yeah,
But dude, it is just ridiculous.
yeah,
It's like every year you do like a turkey bowl in the morning or some sort of
yeah.
activity. I'm dating into a turkey trot family. Julie's a
Oh
big turkey trotter. I was like, yeah, I can't wait to break that tradition with you. Like, I'm
yeah.
gonna be the guy at the bar cart cheering you on. But
Yeah, my
like
dad
you
tried
will
to get me.
not catch me running like that on Thanksgiving. I am there to get fatter, not to
Yeah.
maintain my weight. Like
Yeah, my dad tried to get me to do one because he does one from in his hometown in Connecticut, like it's every year, every morning at like 8 a.m. and it's
Mhm.
like 30 minutes away. It's where my cousins live, where I'm going for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Um, but this year I was just like, hell no, I'm not waking up at 8 o'clock after I'm going out Wednesday with all my friends.
Yeah.
And I did a turkey trot, which I actually kind of liked because it was a turkey trot, but it was this past weekend because I was visiting my sister in Indiana with my family. She goes to school at
Mhm.
IU, and they had like their version of the turkey trot because everyone like left after they had their last home game for football, and then everyone left after that. So the turkey trot there was kind of nice just because it was like a Saturday morning before football, so you could just
Mhm.
get out of the way, make yourself feel good by running a 5K and then just drink yourself into an oblivion. It didn't help that I was somewhat sick during it, mainly the drinking portion, but you know what? We survived it.
Yeah, I was like, I'd turkey trot my ass to the couch, but that's about it. I am nowhere near a turkey trot guy. I never will be. Like that's
I
just the way it is.
I'll run to the fridge here and there on
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. That's
I'll
about
do
it.
suicides to keep getting beers, but like
Yeah.
that's about it.
I'll
It's
run
just ridiculous.
I'll run if the score in the flag football game against my little cousin
Mhm.
is like 24-24,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
a winning drive, then I'm going all out DK Metcalf style, just chasing down people. But
Just full tackle your little cousin.
oh yeah. I love the memes on like Twitter and like Instagram now just because it's Thanksgiving and like Thanksgiving football, where it's just like you show up to your family's flag football party and you're prime Joe Flacco or Troy Polamalu and just people just
Yeah.
lighting up Thanksgiving.
Dude, I love doing the turkey bowl. I love playing QB just because like you'd always end up being QB for both teams.
Yeah.
Then if you're not, you always end up being safety, so you get to ball hawk everything.
Yeah.
But bro, I just miss those days. Like we don't have enough people around to be doing it anymore, so I just kind of sit there. I'll like throw the ball in the air to myself. I feel like such a loser, but
Yeah. I know. I feel like it was
oh
more fun
man.
when you were like 10, 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
And now like all my cousins and relatives are either like my age or like a couple years younger, or a couple years older, or they're like 5 or 4 or 3. So it's
Mhm.
like the age difference is like I'm not gonna light up my like 2 year old or like my
No,
3 year
I
old cousin.
completely get it. Like I'm at the age where everyone above me is scared of pulling a hamstring.
Yep.
Everyone below me is afraid of getting killed. So
Yeah.
like there's no in between right now where we're at. And it's just fucking miserable. So
But it's
but
still fun
yeah.
just like going out there like right before like you have like Thanksgiving dinner, like throwing the football and just like
Yeah.
playing catch.
Dude, it's the best. I mean, one Thanksgiving we switched it up because it was right when my mom's parents passed away. So like we were like, all right, no one's around. we'll do a cruise this year for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So we went on like a week-long cruise. It was fun. For that Thanksgiving dinner, I think I had a chicken parm. Like it was
Nice.
pretty electric, but other than that, like my Thanksgivings are pretty fucking standard for the most part. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I wish we had the big family reunions for this, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's always split just because it's like you do like how my family does it is like we go to my mom's side usually for Thanksgiving in the
Mhm.
past just because they lived in Pennsylvania, and then we go to my dad's for like Christmas and stuff, but now we're just kind of doing it like reverse order this year.
Yeah.
But I mean, every family is different in terms of how they celebrate holidays and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So,
Yeah, we're gonna go up to my uncle's house, my dad's brother,
mhm,
like right after Christmas.
yeah.
So we'll be able to have fun there. I'll be recording podcasts from there too, working. So I'll be like just grinding in a different state. I'll be up in Connecticut. So
Oh,
who
nice.
knows? Maybe we'll cross paths for a little bit. But
Is it the week of Christmas? Because if that's the
uh
case, I'll be in Florida.
I guess the 27th through the 30th.
I'm gonna be in Florida the 25th through the 30th.
You bastard. You bastard.
Yeah,
What are you
I
doing
mean,
down here?
we're going to my grandparents for Christmas. I
Oh,
told you we're doing the whole
that's
switcheroo this
right.
year.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, so we have a, which is this is gonna be kind of weird. I mean, I know it's Thanksgiving, but going on like a little Christmas vibe just because we're on the tangent.
Mhm.
We have we're flying Christmas Day, which we've done in the past to my grandparents.
Yeah.
Or this early, our flight's at like 7 a.m. So that's gonna be like weird.
That's
So
fucking miserable.
yeah, so like my sister's all like pissed because she's like the big like tradition. No, we have to open presents at like in the morning, and then me and my parents are just like, can't we just do it Christmas Eve? Like,
Well, you never know, man. Santa may be a little late. You may get you may fucking hit him with the plane.
oh
Like,
yeah, well, I called up Santa and told him that he's got to come early this year, so hopefully he'll be there
just gave him
around
a
like
heads up.
10:30, 11 o'clock on Christmas Eve.
I love it. I love it. But
So
yeah, no, I'm excited. It's gonna be a nice couple days off. I know you don't work tomorrow. I'm working from home, so
uh,
hey, it'll be nice just to kind of hang out, enjoy ourselves, enjoy family, and
yep,
all that fun stuff.
yeah,
But as far as like a sports side, as big headlines, I think that the honestly the biggest headline today is Leonard getting released from the Colts. I don't know if you
yeah.
saw that or not, but that I don't know why that happened. I
I
don't
guess
know what the hell's going on, but that's
yeah.
just insane.
He was always like a ball hawking linebacker that like he's good to force like 5 fumbles at least every
Yeah.
he was like this was probably like 3 years ago when he was like in his prime and probably like the
Mhm.
best one of the best linebackers in the league. Now he's just kinda he's there, but I
Yeah.
guess the Colts
Well,
I don't know.
he's not
Well,
anymore.
I think he'll get scooped up
Oh,
pretty
100%.
pretty quickly too.
Yeah, I think it was just like he was coming off 2 surgeries, like
Yeah.
he wasn't happy with this playing time. The Colts just never make the right decision. So they're
Yeah.
like, all right, fine, fuck you. Like, get rid of you. Some team's gonna pick it'll probably be the 49ers, would be my guess.
I
It's
mean,
what
they
they
don't really
always seem to fucking do.
I mean,
But
they don't really need a need for outside linebacker because their linebackers
no,
are already disgusting. But I feel like linebacker is one of those positions where it's so tough in the NFL, especially if you get injured and like miss a year. Because
yeah.
I mean, it's not like any position, but like linebackers, you have like I'm not saying it's like an easy job, but
Mhm.
it's like linebackers can be either like very athletic and like rush to the quarterback and like bigger, or like quick and speed and like just making like plays all over the field. And if you get injured and really like lose a step or something like that in linebackers, then you're kind of
Yeah.
screwed.
No,
Especially if
I
linebackers have to play
100%
tight
agree.
end.
Like
So
it's just so weird. Like the Colts don't have that great of a defense as it is. And now you take away that key piece in Leonard. Like, yeah, it
yeah,
just does not make sense how they're running their organization. And honestly, this kind of goes league wide. I don't know if you saw Tom Brady was saying that this year is just mediocre. And
yep,
honest to God, I agree with him. I
Yeah,
feel like this is the most bored I've been with an NFL season in a long time. Granted, as a Dolphins fan, like I'm enjoying it just because we're actually good this year. But as an overall fan of the NFL, like there's no one that's just absolutely balling. Like the MVP race, I think Jalen Hurts is in the league. He's got like
yeah,
15 touchdowns and 9 interceptions or some shit like that.
yeah,
Like it's just the most boring year of football
yeah.
ever. And
Like
I'm just not having fun.
backpacking on it, you expected like for instance last night's game. We're recording this on Tuesday, so last night was the Chiefs Eagles, the
Mhm.
Super Bowl rematch, probably the most anticipated matchup of the year. Probably gonna like people are calling it like the game of the season. This is
Yeah.
probably two of the favorites to be back in the Super Bowl for this year, the Super Bowl preview potentially.
Mhm.
And it was just one of the most like dulled games. Like nothing happened. Like at halftime, Mahomes and Jalen Hurts had a combined like 120 passing yards. Like
It
AJ
was
Brown had a like
brutal.
been going off this year. Like he had like I think like 5 games over like straight over 100 receiving yards. He had a catch for 8 yards. Kelsey only had like 7 catches for 45 yards. Granted, he did have a touchdown, but it was just like a dry game.
Mhm. Yeah, it's just killing me this year, and I'm not really like I'm just not enjoying it. And I hate saying that. I look forward to the NFL season every year. It's always electric, always fun. But this year, it's just like, all right, we're on to the next week. Like another star goes down to injuries. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just like the
Yeah,
injuries or stuff like that. But
the injury plague is
it's
bad this year. Like, what was it? Like
brutal.
6 quarterbacks got hurt that were
Yeah.
starters week 1.
Like
Like
Justin Jefferson's, he's been out for fucking
Nick
like
Chubb.
8 weeks.
Yeah, Nick Chubb was season ended week 2.
Mhm.
Like,
The
just
big
big.
storyline, Aaron Rodgers, like he's been out. I think he's supposed to come back in like 2 weeks to start practicing, which in
Yeah,
itself is fucking mind blowing for an Achilles injury. But
yeah. Well, I know they was eyeing like because I think they play Christmas Eve or day or around there
yeah.
because I think Christmas Eve is Sunday, so it makes sense.
Hmm.
He was eyeing that return if they are competitive for a wild card spot or the division spot. But I mean, Tim Boyle is now their starter and Zach Wilson's QB3. So
Tough look for the MILF hunter, bro.
I don't really see them competing all that
Mm.
much. I honestly didn't think I think Zach Wilson, I mean, he was the one quarterback that's beaten Jalen Hurts this year.
Yeah. No, and that's like the weird thing too. It's like it's just one of those seasons, man, where you're just like, bro, like this fucking sucks. Like I remember there was a season Drew Brees had 46 passing touchdowns and he
Yeah,
didn't win the MVP. Like that's the kind of stats they were putting up.
yeah,
And now it's like mediocrity is going to win you the MVP just because your team's playing well. And I get it's a team sport.
yeah.
But at the same time, like the NFL is about showcasing superstardom. And it's just not that way this year. And it's killing me.
Yeah, and the leagues, I just feel like they're getting all kind of like pansy and like trying to protect the players from injuries, which is a
Hmm.
good thing because you want to showcase like the best stars because that's essentially they're selling your product.
Yeah.
At the same time, what Brady said on the Stephen A. Smith show was like he was terrified of playing like Ray Lewis, Palomalu, like Ronnie Lott because they're just ball hawking like
Yeah.
defenders, safeties, linebackers that like if you throw it over the middle to Ray Lewis and your receiver is probably going to get injured. But
Yeah.
now it'd just be like there'd be no point in Ray Lewis because if he does that and does the hits that he was known for, it's all flags and penalties and probably getting tossed out of the game.
Yeah, no, we're quickly approaching bubble wrap territory in the NFL. And I hate saying that because it took over youth football and it's what made me quit playing football. And it's just like I really would love to see people just keep fucking hitting hard. It's the
Yeah.
whole point of the NFL. It's the whole point of football. Everyone loves hard hits and big plays. And when you take that away, this is what you're stuck with. Just a
Yeah.
very mediocre season. No one's really enjoying it unless your team is really good. Like
Yeah.
at least if you were like the Texans back in 2016, you have JJ Watt and Jadavian Clowney laying down the fucking law.
Yeah.
Like now you like you don't have anything if you're the
Yeah.
worst team in the league. no one wants to watch you because you can't even get a big hit.
Yeah, I know. And it's
Uh,
crazy because it's like the highlights of this year, I feel like, that are just like I feel like the main highlight this year that's not like Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift is the tush push, which is
yeah,
probably gonna get banned
yeah.
because the injury rate. I will say I did like the in yesterday's game when Jalen Carter tried to intercept the spike by like diving down. That was
Yeah.
that was pretty.
Bro, he almost had that in like another half inch
It
close, and he
literally
has
like
that.
kissed his hands like that too. I was like, holy shit.
I was like, it's such a smart fucking play.
I was like, yeah, I was like, how has no one ever thought of that before?
Yeah. But, hopefully the NFL turns it around. We got a big week for football this week, man. Obviously, you have the Thanksgiving games on Thursday. You have the Dolphins Jets game on Friday, which is going to be awesome. The first Black Friday game ever.
Yeah.
You have rivalry weekend on Saturday, the biggest point of football this weekend.
Oh yeah.
And man, those headlines are fucking nuts. So this is going to be a great weekend of football. And then you have Sunday NFL, Monday Night Football. You have a lot of football this weekend. So hopefully something, the flip switches or some shit in the NFL. And we have a great weekend because especially those Thanksgiving games, man, I remember so many different memories and moments
Oh
that
yeah.
like stand out from my childhood just watching. Like, dude, when you think about it, like, oh, I mean, one of the funniest ones I think of is Ndamukong and Sue just kicking people in the nuts and stepping
Yeah.
on them. It was like a yearly tradition at Thanksgiving. It's like
Yeah.
turkey, family, and Sue kicking you in the nuts. Like that was just kind of the way it was every year.
Yeah.
Every year.
If I could describe like when I think of Thanksgiving, like football every year, like the three games, and like I think of one player always that comes to mind. It was always Calvin Johnson because
Yeah.
he was just gonna eat.
Yeah, he was like the new age Randy Moss. You knew Calvin Johnson was going to ball. And speaking of Randy Moss, his iconic game,
Oh yeah,
what, 3 receptions, 160 something yards, 3 touchdowns, like the
162.
OG Randy Moss performance back at the end of the 90s. I think it was like 98.
Yep,
I mean, he got the classic John Madden turducken.
yep.
Dude, it's just there's so many good memories from Thanksgiving games, and I just hope it lives up to the hype. It like
Yeah, I mean the
seriously.
matchups this year really aren't the greatest, unfortunately. Like
Yeah.
I get what they were trying to go for in terms of the schedule and trying to vary it up with teams that really haven't. Well, I mean they always have certain teams play, but when you
Mhm.
look at it, like Packers Lions a couple years ago, that's a great game.
Yeah.
This year, not so much.
Hmm.
Commanders Cowboys, Cowboys.
One-sided.
Yeah.
Very
And Under
one-sided.
Seahawks is actually a pretty good game, but it's still pretty one-sided in terms of the numbers.
Yeah, the Seahawks are such frauds, man. They play nobody. Their record is just it's so much higher than what it should be. Like
Yeah.
honestly, it says San Fran favored by 6.5. That's crazy that it's that low.
Yeah. That was like one of the things I was actually shocked about this weekend when I was watching football and I saw the record pop up that the Seahawks were 6 and
Hmm.
3. I was completely blown away by that. I
Yeah.
really feel like you haven't heard of anyone doing that well on the Seahawks. I feel like DK's not really having that good of a year. Geno Smith's not really having that good of a year. The only person that's getting really mentioned on the Seahawks, I feel like, is Devin Witherspoon,
Hmm.
a rookie. But
Yeah, I mean, Kenneth Walker's been standing out. He's been having a pretty solid year. I think he's like a top 10 running back in fantasy.
yeah,
He
but he
obviously
went
went
down.
down with an
Yeah,
injury last week, but yeah, the Seahawks, they're very boring. Like nobody wants to watch them. It's fair, but it's like, why are you putting them on the Thursday football, especially the prime time Thursday night game? Like
yeah.
that is just crazy to me. I don't understand why you do that. Like if you're smart, you have the 49ers face off with either the Cowboys or the Lions, and you stick the Seahawks in one of those earlier slates, like probably like the 12:30 game. Maybe you put like, I don't know, the
I mean,
Packers against the Commanders, like
yeah,
early game.
yeah,
Nobody's really watching it. Everyone's focused on getting ready to eat. Then your next
Honestly, if
game,
you yeah, if you switch those two, if you switch the Lions and the Commanders, like Lion or Commanders Packers, like it's not the best game and like but you're still gonna watch it and it's probably gonna be entertaining just because it's gonna come down to the wire and it's gonna be an
yeah,
actual good football game, even though it's two of not the greatest teams. And then at 4:25, you got or the late game. Is it the late game? No, the middle game would
yeah,
be Lions
4:30.
Cowboys, and that would be a fantastic game.
Mm-hmm. And then you'd still have that NFC West matchup at
Yeah,
night, Niners Seahawks. Like just the NFL, and I feel like this is another reason why it's been so mediocre. These matchups this year, especially in prime time, they just haven't been it. This was like the one week, like last
yeah,
week, that it was actually good. But other than that, man, Thursday night football has been miserable. We've been watching Al Michaels just kind of
yeah,
waiting to end the broadcast every day.
yeah,
Sunday night's usually good just because it's the biggest viewing
yeah,
opportunity of the week. And then Monday Night Football, I feel like they always do ESPN so dirty with some shitter matchup.
yeah.
It's just
Besides this week, yeah.
like we got to be doing better, guys.
Well, I know now they've started to say that they're going to start flexing games in prime time, which hopefully should help.
Hmm.
I mean, the Thursday night games, in my opinion, this year have been quite awful. I think the
Yeah,
best game was this past week with Ravens Bengals. But then again, Burrow got hurt, Mark Andrews
yeah,
got hurt. So then it just became like, what are we doing here?
yeah. It just got negated so quick.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like I was so excited to watch that game. I was at a bar in Indiana with my family and my sister and her friends, like watching it. I'm like, oh, let's go. I need Mark Andrews to have a day, like second play of the game.
mhm.
He's done. All right, I have no more happiness and I don't want to watch the game anymore.
Yeah, it's just been such a nightmare to watch these matchups. And it's like it all circled around the Jets, right? Aaron
Yeah,
Rodgers is the big storyline coming in. And then you're like, for fuck's sake, man. Like, we need to start flexing these games.
yeah.
Like, I don't know why, as soon as Aaron Rodgers goes down with that Achilles injury, you're not flexing the
Flexing the
Jets out of
Jets.
prime time.
Yeah.
Like,
Or
it's just mind blowing.
I think the Jets had, I think, like 4 or 5 primetime games this year, which is the
Yeah.
most in the league. You should have at least taken away 3 of them, maybe give them one more primetime game or wait a little bit, see how their record's doing, but once their record hits the fan, because it's gonna without Aaron Rodgers, because they still don't have a
Yeah.
quarterback, take away the games. And, like, the Raiders have had, like, 4 primetime games. I feel
Dude,
like they're on primetime every
it's
week.
ridiculous. It is
Like,
so bad for TV. And I don't understand what they're doing. They need to get someone in there that's like, bro, if you want people to watch the NFL, there are 3 games every week
yeah,
that everyone sits down and watches.
yeah,
Make sure those matchups are kick ass every week, and
yeah,
you will have great viewership. That
yeah.
1 o'clock slate is there for a reason. So you can have one good matchup and stick all the shitters in between.
In
Like
the Octo
that's
box.
yeah, like get the octo box. You're looking at the only game you care about, but at least you have the other dumbass teams up there too,
Yeah,
and you're not wasting your day away.
yeah,
I don't know, bro. It's just kind of crazy to me, just the way it is. But
yeah.
it's like,
It's been a
you know,
weird year.
it really has, and people are starting to catch on to it, and Tom Brady brought it to the
Yeah,
forefront. But
yeah,
I'm glad he did it, and I'm hoping the NFL starts taking that seriously, especially coming from the GOAT. Like
yeah.
these matchups better start being kick ass, and it better start this weekend. This
Treat
is
it
the
like
time.
treat it like college, because I feel like college football this year has been great. It's been phenomenal. There's been so
Dude,
many good games. I mean,
yeah.
this weekend, rivalry weekend's arguably the biggest slate of college football games so far this year until next week, which is championship week.
Mhm.
But I mean, there's so many good games this week for college football and so many games that like have importance into college football playoff ranking and winning your or getting into your championship game in your conference. So
Yeah.
it'll be fun.
Like there's so many storylines too, and we obviously like everyone talks about it a lot, right? The Michigan Ohio State game, like that's always your biggest game of rivalry weekend, but This year, man, it's different. Like this will be the most watched game of the weekend, NFL included.
Oh
The
yeah.
storylines, the drama that have been culminating to this matchup, it is going to be so worth it to watch, even if you don't like college football. And I know I said this unbettable for those of you that watch both, but if you don't like college football and you don't really care for it, this is the one game you should watch. This
Yeah.
is the only one that you should turn your TV on for because the amount of drama, the amount of bullshit, it'll just be talked about. There's gonna be fights, there's gonna be name calling, it's gonna be a battle because it always is. And I'm here for every single second of it.
Yeah. It's
I can't
essentially
wait.
there's so much on the line too in terms of like it's do or die for both teams
Yeah.
essentially. Whichever team wins is going to make the playoff. Whichever team loses is not going to make the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
just all the scandals and stuff like that around this game, it's going to be one for the ages, I think.
Yeah, it's exciting. Like that's the one game I'm looking forward to this weekend. And to say that's the one game, it's cool, but it's also like NFL, man. What the fuck are you
Yeah.
doing? Like, let's figure this out.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to NFL. I know, Had, you and I have been getting a bunch of questions on Twitter, just kind of about fantasy football matchups, what we're looking into for this weekend. So let's go through a couple of them real quick. I know we have a couple trade offers that are like they want us to talk about, but
Okay.
I don't know why there's no trade deadline in some of these leagues, but
I
fuck it.
feel like trade
Go with
deadline
it.
for me in my leagues are usually like this week. So I feel
Yeah.
like around like you have till like it's usually like the first week of at right after Thanksgiving. So
Yeah. This guy goes, I have an opportunity to trade DeAndre Swift for Devon HN. I know HN's been hurt, but he's been absolutely electric when he's been on the field. Should I pull this trade? Should I go for it? What are you guys thinking? So, Hot, I'll let you kind of take it away first, and then I'll give my answer.
yeah, I mean, in my opinion, like I have A Chain in the league and I have Swift in the league. A Chain was absolutely disgusting for the first 5 weeks of fantasy. Like blew up onto the scene, was dropping 50 bombs left, right, and center.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then came back this week, didn't really get a lot of touches. In fact, got hurt and was out for the rest of the game. Um, and I just feel like Swift has more value than A Chain right now, just because I feel like Swift, there's not really a competition in the backfield. He got so many touches last night and got so many receptions as well. And he was arguably the Eagles' best player on offense last night. Whereas A Chain, his target share is so crowded between Mostert, Wilson, and like there's too many backs there, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. And just especially him coming off injury would make me a little more hesitant. So, in my opinion, and what I would do is I would stick with Swift, but that's just me.
Yeah, and I think it also depends on your record in your fantasy league.
Yeah.
Like if you're towards the top, I would stick with that consistency for DeAndre Swift. If you're at the bottom and you really have nothing to lose and you want an opportunity to potentially get that 50 bomb,
Yeah.
fuck it, go for it. As long as you're not coming in last and getting a last place punishment, like
Yeah, exactly.
it just depends where you are. But
Yeah.
I I wouldn't do it, and I'm a Dolphins fan, so that's I mean, if you need an answer there, that's where I would lean. But
I just feel like you're more conservative with Swift and he's more consistent, whereas A Chain, you're relying on him booming when he
yeah,
could easily also bust.
this guy says I just sent out a trade, DeAndre Hopkins and James Cook for Stephon Diggs. Who do you think wins? Dude, there's no way this trade gets accepted.
No, no chance.
Bro, you are like, that's a trade rape, dog. There's no way, bro.
If I was if you Mondo offered me that trade and I was the one giving you Diggs, I would have laughed at it, texted you saying like, "What the hell was this?"
Like,
Like
I'm
it's
never
insulting.
trading with you
It's
again.
like insulting.
Yeah.
I mean,
Pull it off, man. Good on you. But that is you're never getting that.
Diggs has one bad game, and all of a sudden he's still like the wide receiver 4 this year in fantasy. He just had
Yeah.
one bad. It's like AJ Brown. What is everyone going to try to target AJ Brown this week because he had one catch for 8 yards last night? Like people aren't going to give you AJ Brown for nothing.
Yeah,
But
it's just ridiculous.
I mean, if you get that trade accepted, kudos to you, my friend. But I see it very unlikely it being accepted.
Yeah. This guy said Joe Burrow just went down. I have Brock Purdy and Sam Howell as potential replacements. Just picked up Sam Howell off the waivers. Who do you guys think I should start this week? Is there one way I should be leaning over another? Matchups. What are the thoughts from the barroom boys? So I'll let you start it off.
See, that one's kind of tough just because they're both kind of different style quarterbacks. Like Sam Howell has been a sneaky good fantasy quarterback this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think going into the week, he was like the QB like 7 or 8.
Yeah,
Like
he was
right
top
there with
10 for sure.
like right there almost with like in terms of fantasy numbers with Mahomes before this week. I haven't looked after this week or this like
Mm-hmm.
up, but he's been very good. But the thing with Purdy is he has so many weapons, like it's
Yeah.
almost, like easy for him at this point. Like it's just like his reads are like, okay, do I read McCaffrey? Do I read Debo? Do I read Ayuk? Do I read Kittle? Like it's so hard to stop. And they always just pass the ball, whether it's check downs to McCaffrey over the top. I mean, Purdy had a monster game last week. I feel like in this spot, I'm going to analyze the defenses and the matchups and severity of the game. I'm thinking, all right, Commanders are playing the Cowboys. That's going to be a
Mm-hmm.
tough day for Sam Howell in Jerry World against the Cowboys defense, who's has a really good secondary, even without Trayvon Diggs. I mean, Deron Bland's on history pace right now with interception return for touchdown.
Yeah.
So I think that game's he's going to struggle. Now, I do think Purdy could struggle against the Seahawks secondary, which has been really good this year as well. But he has more weapons to create chances for him to shine better in this game. So I think I would go Purdy in this spot.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I looked at the matchups. I was like, look, if you put it this way, they're both playing on Thanksgiving. They're both really solid QBs. They both have weapons to an extent. Obviously, Purdy has more. But what it's going to come down to is these matchups. As you said, Dallas is an absolute elite defense. And Sam Howell, he's still a young guy. So you got to kind of weigh it out. The Seahawks defense, although they have Bobby Wag still, it is nothing compared to what they used to have. So
Yeah.
if it's
No.
me, I'm taking Brock Purdy. I think that's just your best lock. I know Sam Howell's been a fantasy wagon this year, but there is no fantasy wagon once you match up with the Cowboys secondary. Like that's just the way
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. And just weapons alone, I think McLaurin and Dotson and De'Ami Brown and Samuel are a lot worse than the weapons that the 49ers have against this week. So
Mm-hmm. This guy said, I have Jamar Chase. Obviously, Joe Burrow went down. Should I try and flip him for someone? If so, who? That's a good
I mean,
question.
it is a good question. It's tough because Jamar Chase is so talented. Yeah, he hasn't had the best of fantasy years, but he's been really good as of late, besides this past week with the unfortunate news of Joe Burrow going down.
Yeah.
Um, it's more so of who fits your team the best. What are you looking for? Or is your league PPR or not? Do you want a guy that's going to be as consistent as Jamar Chase, or do you want a guy that just has boom or bust potential? It's kind of tricky. Definitely check and see what
Mhm.
your options are. I would say in your league that you're thinking about trading Chase, see what offers you get and see what's best for your team. You could probably still get a decent amount for Chase, not as much as if Joe Burrow was healthy.
Yeah.
But you could still get a really solid receiver for him if you're trying to just swap him with receivers. You could probably get still a decent receiver almost like a maybe I don't know, like a DeAndre Hopkins and like a Brees Hall type package or something along those lines. I'm not saying you could get that, but something along those lines where you can get
Mhm.
wide receiver running back. So definitely be open to trading him, but it's still Jamar Chase. Like he still is one of the best players in the league at creating separation. So he still could be a value towards the stretch and towards the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. Whoever this is, I can't tell what your name is on here, but if
Wish we
you
could.
could just DM me a picture of your team, I
Yeah,
could give you way more info than just
yeah,
like, should I do this? But it just depends on where the holes of your team are. If you have a big hole at tight end, you have good wide receivers still, like you can obviously always flip Jamar Chase for, Travis Kelsey and some sort of lower tier receiver. Like it depends how your league values them, like what everything is.
yeah,
But if you DM me a picture of your team, I'll be able to help you way more than what we are right now.
yeah,
But Jamar Chase is an elite player. Don't worry too much about it. It's a win-win. Either you trade him away for a good package, or you get to keep the top 3 receiver in football. So it's like there's no real issue either way. So just do
yeah.
what you got to do. But yeah, if you want more information from us, like you got to send the pick, and
We'll help you.
we'll help you the best we can. But
Yeah.
let's do one more, and then we'll get into our little draft today. This guy says, I'm currently in last place. My team is really good on paper. What sleepers do you have throughout the rest of the season that could potentially avoid a last place punishment for me?
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a fucking hardy question there, sir.
Yeah, that's
Um,
a good one.
I would say one for sure. If you can fleece someone for Brian Robinson, I think you 100% do it. He's still kind of a no-name type talent, even though he's top 10 right now. Sometimes, the managers of him will still have him on the bench. So if you can kind of find your way to sneaking him on your team, the the Commanders, when they air the ball out, they're still throwing it off to Robinson. When the pass game shut down, he can still find the hole and run the ball. So if I had one sleeper that's, kind of a sleeper, I would say Brian Robinson would be your best option to try and get. But as far as, someone off the waivers, brother, like that would be tougher to me.
It's tough because obviously we don't know who's on your waiver wire. Like, in for example, in one of my leagues this past week, I saw Tank Dell on the waiver wire. I picked him up and started
Yeah.
him. Look how that turned out for me. Um, I guess if he's there, definitely pick him up. But I guess like keep an eye on like if like a Zach Charbonnet, just based on
Mhm.
Kenneth
Those
Walker's injury.
injuries.
I doubt that AJ Dillon's available, but Aaron Jones went down and he's unlikely to play on Thursday. So AJ Dillon's probably going to get the bulk of the carries considering the other guy also went down. So he was like the only active running back on their roster this week. So they probably signed another from the practice squad. Um, but then otherwise, I mean, it's kind of tough just based on if you want wide receivers or tight end productions. I mean, people have been balling out like tight ends like Dalton Schultz. He was like going as like the wide receiver or not tight end like 15 in drafts, but he's been having a really good year and really consistent with Stroud. Um, I just
Jake
picked up,
Ferguson, he's had a good year.
yeah,
Like
I
he
just
kind
picked
of
up,
popped up out of nowhere, but he's one of those guys where it's like the Dallas tight ends, it's one way or the other every year. Either they're very consistently at like that 10 to 15 point
yeah,
margin, or they pop off. This guy is one of those guys that he'll pop off for 15 plus, or he'll have, 6 to 10 points. So
yeah,
it's like you gotta work it a little bit more. But if you're looking for a tight end, I think those are two, really solid options.
yeah.
But
Also
again, it just
McBride too.
depends on how your league is, man. Like that's what it just comes down to every week.
Yeah, do
Um,
a little research, look at some of like the rankings, read some articles. but ultimately just like be alert on your waiver wire, see if
Hmm.
there's any backups available, or look into the matchups if they're playing like a weak run defense, then pick up maybe that running back or something like that. Or if
Yeah.
they're the wide receiver three, say like Josh Palmer, I think he comes back this week for the Chargers. Like he could be in a really good spot if Keenan Allen has a tough matchup with the cornerback one that they're playing this week. So it's all like kind of dependent on that if you kind of want to play it week to week. But if you're looking for like a real league winner, honestly, it's kind of tough to tell uh,
Yeah.
right
It's one
now.
of those things where we need the DM of who you got available, like a little screen recording or something. We
Yeah,
could kind of guide you from there. But another thing that I would think about doing, and it's something I see with last place teams a lot, make sure you're staying up to date on your special teams and kicker.
yeah,
You may draft a kicker and defense at the beginning of the year thinking, this is fine. Who really cares? But those can make or break a week every single week. If you
mhm,
find a kicker on the waivers that's better than the kicker you have now by 3 or 4 points a game, guess
that
what? In
helps.
those close matchups, it makes a difference. If you find a defense with a favorable matchup versus a consistent defense, those
Yeah,
points, it makes the difference. You add that up and you got another extra 10 points. So it's just like being smart with your moves, making sure you're running out that best lineup that you could possibly put together that includes all the waivers and everything. So
yeah,
just make sure you're following everything to a T and trying to continue to build that best team. I
yeah,
can't promise you'll make it out of last. Depends on who you drafted, which if you're reaching out for help, I'd say you
yeah.
didn't do too well.
Or
So,
injuries kinda screwed you, but
yeah.
I also wouldn't go for broke either. Don't think that because 'cause you're in last place and there's only a couple weeks left of the regular season before the fantasy playoffs that, like, "Okay, I'm trying to trade my entire team and trying to get a
Mhm.
new team just to get me out of last." Like, unfortunately, fantasy is week to week, and you just can't predict anything that happens in
Yeah.
fantasy, so you never know, and you could trade away your entire team, and your entire team could be the number one your old team could be the number one team for the last 3 weeks of the season, so it's a tough spot, but, I think we gave some solid advice on what you can try to do to prevent you from getting last place.
Yeah, just do what you can. If you have the punishment, guess what? You film it and you put it on YouTube, you at least get some views out of that.
Yeah,
So, we have a fantasy basketball league. I took a couple players who are both suspended and have gotten hurt. Currently in last place. I'm not the biggest basketball guy, but it is what it is. I do have John Morant, so he'll come back soon. Um, but our punishment is to go to a bodybuilding contest. Like I'm a big boy. I'm gonna have a camera there because that's gonna be the funniest shit anyone's ever seen.
yeah, just have
So
fun.
even if you come in last place, brother, just enjoy it. It'll be hilarious. It'll be a good laugh looking back on. And the more you try and fight it, the worse it's gonna be. So either way, grind all you can. But if it just ends up that way, dude, just rock it because it won't happen again. You won't come in last 2 years in a row
Mhm.
unless you're one of our good friends who tends to do it just about every year. But
Yeah, he's also now tied for last this year.
it's what he
Unbel
does. We love him to death. He loses all
Unbelievable.
the time, but
I'm
you
pretty
know,
sure he was, like, almost he was started, like, 3 or 4-1, and then just
yeah. Yeah, the kid started year one, didn't get a win. Like year two, he got one win. That one win, I think he popped champagne for. Like it was just it's been so funny to watch, but he's a good sport about it for the most
Yeah,
part. So it is what it is. Who cares? Just to have fun. It's fantasy football.
yeah,
You're not doing anything that's putting your life at risk. Just enjoy yourself, man.
yeah.
But hi, you want to do the draft?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, so today's draft, it's the Thanksgiving dishes draft, Thanksgiving sides, whatever you want to call it. Basically, it's any food except turkey.
Yep.
Obviously, it's just hot and I. We figured this would be a pretty good draft topic because there's only so many fucking sides you can have, right?
Yeah,
So we're just like, let's just do what we got to do, and we'll take it up from there. But we're only doing 4 rounds because at most, 8 sides is a lot for Thanksgiving. I
Yeah,
know a lot of people have it, and there's obviously a clear divide, but
yeah.
it's just like be careful, do what you got to do, and we will figure it out from there. So, um,
How we doing the order, Mondo? Do you
should we
want to
rock
go
paper
first?
scissors? I mean, I feel like that's the
Sure.
best way to do it. All right,
Take one.
rock
Rock,
paper
paper, scissors,
scissors shoot.
shoot.
Shit. All right, what do you want to do?
You know what? I want the two spot today.
You want the two?
I want that back to back pick.
Oh fuck, man, I wasn't prepared for that. All right. It's gonna be kind of controversial because not every family picks this, but I'm gonna take mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Mac and cheese is gas. I love me some homemade mac and cheese when it comes to Thanksgiving. Brother, if your family doesn't do that, you're missing out. I know our family does, but
Mine
that
does as
homemade
well.
mac and cheese that you whip up, brother, that is some gas.
Mine does as well. That was probably going to be my first pick. I mean, my
Yeah.
second pick is, or the pick I'm going to go with for my first pick, arguably is on the similar caliber, but it's a staple in every house. I'm going to go with the mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm just going to pair it up with my next pick, gravy. I mean,
Valid.
that's
Valid. I'll allow that.
that's a 1-2 combo. Like,
Yes, sir. I like that. That was solid.
it's running the league.
Um, so sending it back my way. I'm gonna do stuffing
Yep.
and I'm gonna do the rolls. You can't
God.
skip over the rolls, bro. The rolls are that makes or breaks your dinner.
Oh, I absolutely agree. Bread rolls, I usually average 3 to 4 during
Oh,
Thanksgiving.
minimum. Minimum, dog.
Yeah, it's some good stuff, especially when you're going for like like there's not much left of anything. You don't know what you want. Like going
Yeah.
for seconds or leftovers, and they're just so reliable.
It's like sometimes you're just not feeling the turkey, but guess what? You can turn that bitch into a turkey slider real quick. Like, it just you have that with some mac and cheese on it, like brother.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
like it. If you're struggling to eat that turkey and it's dry as hell, because I know some families struggle with cooking that turkey,
I
get
agree.
yourself some good bread rolls.
I agree. Um, for my next one, I'm just gonna take cranberry sauce just out of the way.
Valid.
That's a staple for me. I'm a big cranberry sauce guy. Thanksgiving. I feel like every household has it. Some people
Oh.
love it, some people hate it. I'm one of those guys that loves it. So I'm gonna snag it. And then with my last pick, I mean, this one's tough because there's kind of limited down the options.
We could probably
Um,
do 5 rounds. You want to do 5?
want to do like,
I don't know. It's up to you. I was just like, we
well,
could probably
are
fit
we
in a little.
include I'll do 5 if we're allowed to include desserts.
Yes, yeah,
Oh,
100%.
okay. Uh,
I was gonna go dessert too.
okay, great. I'm taking pumpkin pie then with this next pick.
Valid. All right. I'm not a pumpkin pie guy. It was it my turn?
Yep.
All right. I'm taking apple pie.
Yep.
Apple pie is my go-to. Your family usually does one of 3 options: apple, pumpkin, or pecan.
Yep.
I'm an apple pie guy till I die. I love that more than anything.
I would say
Um,
for me, I'm weird because I love apple pie. Normally, I would have it over pumpkin pie, especially with a little vanilla ice cream. But on Thanksgiving, I'm just a huge pumpkin pie guy. I don't know why.
oh, no, I feel that. I feel it. Every once in a while I get a little craving for it, but I'm just apple pie. That's just the way to go for me.
Yeah.
And then rounding out my last pick, I mean, I don't think we've said it yet. I'm gonna do the sweet potato casserole.
Nope, we have.
Like the with the marshmallows on top. You broil it a little bit. It's got a little crisp mellow.
Yeah,
Like that's that. It's good.
yeah, I
It gets
agree.
slept on. I feel.
Yeah. All right, with the last pick, I'm gonna go to one that's kind of haven't discussed. We've done kind of sides with your main course. We've done dessert. I'm gonna kind of go to an appetizer or an hors d'oeuvre
Ooh.
that I have every Thanksgiving.
All
That's
right.
my personal favorites.
What you
And
got?
that is pigs in a blanket.
All right. I respect that.
Those like the mini hot dogs
Yeah.
go wrong, especially when you get there, you grab a beer, you grab a plate of those, you head straight to the couch and watch football. It's a good day.
Yeah. No, I respect that pick, Hod. We don't usually do the mini hot dogs or the pigs in a blanket. I feel like we're more of like a charcuterie type squad. The
Uh,
crackers, cheese, the meats.
yeah,
Every once in a while we'll sneak a little buffalo dip in there, but
yeah,
yeah, no, I'm with you. I was thinking about hitting an appetizer, but I was like, dude, sweet potato cast is right there. Like I can't pass that up.
yeah. I agree.
But
So, do you want to go through some honorable mentions, Mondo?
yeah.
Try to.
Let's go through it. I think cornbread. Obviously, you have
Oh
your
yeah,
rolls. Rolls are top tier. It's nowhere close. And then down below, you got cornbread. Still good. Nowhere
yeah,
near the top though. I personally hate it, but the green bean casserole,
yeah.
that's
I'm not the
I feel like
biggest
a
fan.
crowd favorite for most families. And then let's see.
How about a good old salad because those are always there
Yeah, there's always the salad nut there, 100%.
for all the
Um,
health people. When I feel like no guy really ever has a salad on their plate at
dude,
Thanksgiving.
hell no. If you're a guy and you're not loading up on turkey and putting yourself into a food coma,
Yeah.
you are doing Thanksgiving wrong. Like I was talking about this at work today, and they're like, "Oh, we're trying to be careful about like." And it was all the girls like how much we eat on Thanksgiving because we don't look like slobs.
It's
I'm like, if you're a guy, you're
uh,
pounding beers, eating turkey, and your ass is laying down for a nap after you
it's
eat
the
that first
ultimate
course.
Thanksgiving's like the ultimate cheat day. If you're on
Yes,
any sort
like
of it's
it's encouraged
yeah.
to pass the fuck out.
And it's always like especially in my family, it's always like it's almost like I'm forced to go up for seconds and thirds and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's like
It's
people want to
honestly it's a sign of disrespect if you don't. It's like, oh, you didn't like my food enough to go into a food coma for Thanksgiving? Like that's the biggest point of the holiday. And you're sitting there like, well, shit, man, my bad. Like, but it's true. You need to load up on the fucking food, my guy.
yeah,
That's how it is.
yeah,
Um, Aside from that, I don't really know. People who make homemade cookies are pretty cool.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, my family. I'm not the biggest fan of it. My family always does like some sort of soup.
yeah.
I mean, put it down, but like I'm kind of struggling now. I feel like we've hit all the heavy hitters.
Yeah, no, I think we exhausted the list. I think it was good we extended to five.
Yeah,
But bro, Thanksgiving is in 2 days, one day if you're watching this, and just enjoy it. You don't get to be around family often. You guys can all watch sports together, eat a bunch of food, tell funny
yeah,
stories. Like it's just the perfect holiday to reset, enjoy yourself. And I recommend that you do it. If you kind of like to party, go out tomorrow night or today if you're watching this. It's like
yeah,
the unofficial, official biggest going out day of the year.
yeah,
All your friends are back in town. Like, just trust me on that. I
yeah.
know I've been through it. It's just do that.
I'll be going through it in 24 hours. So,
Yeah, I will be face down in 24 hours. So
yeah.
just enjoy yourself. From the Barroom Boys, have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, Beef will be back. We'll be enjoying ourselves. But On behalf of Hodska and I and Beeve as well, happy
Happy
Thanksgiving
Thanksgiving.
to you, your family, your friends. We will see you guys on the next episode.
Peace.
Peace.